David H. Williams, Jr. graduated Coleman High School in 1952. After graduation, he attended the University of Texas, where he received his Bachelor of Science degree in Chemical Engineering in 1957. He worked briefly in the chemical industry on the Gulf Coast before entering the United States Air Force. David became a pilot of high-performance jet aircraft in a career that extended 28 years. David entered the Air Force in 1958 and received his pilot's wings in 1959. After completing U.S. Air Force flight and combat crew training, he was assigned to the 522 Tactical Fighter Squadron in New Mexico as an F-100 pilot. The next 4 years, he was stationed at Lakenheath, England, as a nuclear alert pilot targeting potential USSR sites in Poland and East Germany during the Cold War. He was the squadron's weapons officer, assistant operations officer, and later selected for the tactical evaluation team, responsible for wing readiness to fight nuclear and conventional war in Europe. In 1966, David returned to the States and attended Aerospace Research Pilot School at Edwards Air Force Base in California. There he trained in flight test techniques involving propulsion, vehicle control, orbital mechanics, and recovery techniques for spacecraft. David was then stationed in Florida, where he was a test pilot for the bomber aircraft, specifically the Mk-84 Hobo, which was a 2,000-pound guided weapon for use in Southeast Asia. His next assignment took him to Saigon, Vietnam, where he was a weapons liaison officer. He flew combat missions from the Ubon Royal Thai Air Force Base. David was then assigned to the Officer of Technical Applications for Southeast Asia at Elgin Air Force Base in Florida. He was a program manager, successfully developing and testing 500-pound class guided weapons to be deployed from a Ryan Firebee drone. In 1973, David earned his master's degree in business administration from Auburn University and graduated from the Air War College at Maxwell Air Force Base. He returned to Thailand and was assigned as squadron commander of 4 TAC Fighter Squadron. The next 4 years, David was assigned as Chief of Fighter Requirements and Program Element Monitor for F-16 fighter aircraft. He was program manager for the development, testing, and production of the F-117 stealth fighter. David's next assignment took him back to Florida, where he was selected to command the test wing at Elgin Air Force Base. The wing was responsible for weapons tests for the U.S. Air Force, including a new state-of-the-art advanced medium-range air-to-air missile system, AMRAAM, including instrumentation systems to test the effectiveness of the guided system and warhead of missile system. The year was 1982, and David was promoted to Brigadier General. General Williams served as Vice Commander of Canadian North American Air Defense, NORAD, in Ontario, Canada. He was a senior U.S. Air Force officer in Canada. In 1983, David became Deputy Chief of Staff for Test and Evaluation at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland, where he was responsible for the operations of all Air Force tests and evaluation facilities and space launch sites. General Williams was a command pilot and has flown the A-10, F-4, F-16, F-100, and F-104 and numerous other aircraft. His military decorations and award include the Defense Superior Service Medal, Legion of Merit with 2 oak leaf clusters, Bronze Star Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, Air Medal with 4 oak leaf clusters, Air Force Commendation Medal with oak leaf cluster. General Williams retired in April 1986 after 28 years in the United States Air Force. Fast forward to 2002. It is the 50th anniversary of the Coleman High School class of 1952. David and his wife Jean volunteered to serve as co-chairs for the multi-class reunion. David's leadership team initiated the first CHS annual reunion golf tournament to raise funds for scholarship for graduating seniors from the class of 2002. The tournament was a huge success, and David continued to conduct and promote this event for subsequent classes. His efforts ensured the continued support of the tournament to sustain it for the future scholarships. In 2012, Bob Mann joined David in coordinating the tournament and has continued to provide scholarships for the benefit of Coleman High School students. It is now my pleasure to introduce David H. Williams, Jr. as a 2024 Coleman ISD Hall of Honor inductee. David, please come up and accept your awards.
Well, when your name starts with W, you're always last. And I don't know whether I can top all that's been said, but it's a pleasure to be here. I need to tell you that Gene and I are proud Texans. Been here for a long time. We grew up in Coleman County. We attended school in Santa Ana, Texas. My mother and dad were teachers in Leedy School, south of Santa Ana. During the war years, he didn't get paid very well, so he quit teaching and went to the CCC Corps in New Mexico as the educational advisor. War broke out. He ended up going to Seattle, Washington as a pipe fitter in the shipbuilding industry. We got up there and the moss was about a foot thick on all the roofs, and there was water dripping off the roof. Mother said, "Dave, we're not going to stay up here." So we went back to Los Angeles, and he went to work in the shipbuilding industry there. In about 1945, Mother said, "Dave, we're not going to stay here very long." So we came back to Texas, and they both started teaching school again. First school was before we left there. Leedy School was south of Santa Ana. They were both teachers. We came back from the war, and they taught school at Buffalo School, east of Santa Ana, until he decided that he still wasn't making enough money, so he bought a filling station in Santa Ana. And about that time, he met up with a guy named Brooks, and he got into the heavy equipment business. Became a farm contractor, and after having done very successful there, he ended up then selling his business, and guess what? Came back to school teaching. He was the Coleman County superintendent for schools in Coleman County. Well, as I said, Gene and I are proud, loyal Texas people. We grew up in a small town, and I think that it's very important to know that small town values, town values, are extremely important these days. We are very happy to have been here to accept this award. I think that I would like to acknowledge the people over here to the right. We have brothers and sisters-in-law that are here. I have a granddaughter that's here. All of my children are here. And we have a cousin, Darla Wise, who's a strong member of the Coleman community. And I have two nephews, two sisters-in-laws, and a brother-in-law that are here. And we thank you for coming. I got to tell you that this nation, I think, is in a little bit of trouble. We need to keep your eyes and ears open, and be alert, be awake. And if you don't like something, you need to say something to somebody to keep the small town values that we so much cherish as the nation's standard rather than small town values. We know what's right and wrong. Sometimes our nation, our Americans, don't always know or forgotten what's right and wrong. And we need to question our politicians, and when they're not doing things right, we need to hold them accountable for it. I hope all parents and children would take heed and pay attention, and when you don't like something, say something so that somebody else can listen to you and take heed. I'd like to say thank you to the cooks. It was an outstanding meal. And I would like to also thank the servers who served at the table. I can't believe that Gene and I were ever that young. Lastly, I want to say that my most important part of being in Coleman High School was where I met my high school sweetheart. We married, and she has been a partner for all these years. She taught school, another teacher. She taught school in Texas. She taught school in England and in Virginia and in Florida. And she still is acts like and talks like a teacher. I pay attention anyway. Once again, I really do thank you for being a part of this prestigious event. And I think I speak to all of the people who were recognized here tonight that it's a privilege to be here, and thank you for inviting us and for letting us be a part of this activity. Thank you so much.